James opened his eyes to unfamiliar ceiling panels, smooth, iridescent surfaces that pulsed with soft, bioluminescent patterns. His body ached in ways he'd forgotten were possible, each breath a reminder that he'd pushed himself beyond human limits. Again, the medical bay smelled wrong. Not the antiseptic burn of human hospitals, but something sweeter, almost floral. His HUD was offline, his combat suit stripped away, leaving him in a thin medical gown that did little against the cool air. "You're awake." The voice was melodic, multi-toned in that way that marked the Valorian species. James turned his head, slowly because everything hurt, to find a tall, crystalline figure standing beside his bed. Dr. Kashara, if his memory served. He'd seen her briefly during the evacuation. "How long?" His voice came out rough, damaged. 47 hours. "Your species' resilience continues to perplex us." Kashara's facial crystals shifted colors from cool blue to warm amber. Concern, maybe? James had learned to read some Valorian expressions during his years in the Coalition forces. "The girl, Aliana, is she safe, unharmed? Thanks to you." "Sergeant Mitchell." Kashara's crystals flashed bright gold. "Definitely approval. Though I must ask, what possessed you to shield a child with your own body during a plasma bombardment?" James closed his eyes, remembering. The Kresh raiders had come fast, overwhelming the colony's defenses before anyone could react. He'd been there on shore leave of all the damned luck, trying to drink away memories of a war that had ended 3 years ago but still lived in his nightmares. Then he'd heard the screaming. The little Valorian girl couldn't have been more than 6 in human. Years, separated from her parents in the chaos, trapped in a plaza as Kresh gunships descended. James had moved without thinking, old instincts overriding common sense. He'd crossed 50 meters of open ground under fire, scooped her up, and thrown himself over her as the first plasma round struck. His combat-hardened body had taken impacts that would have vaporized the child, burns layered on burns. His back felt like molten slag. But he'd kept her covered, kept her safe until Coalition forces finally drove the raiders off. "Instinct," James finally answered. "It's what we do." "What humans do, you mean?" Kashara's tone carried something James couldn't quite identify. "In the 73 years since humanity joined the Galactic Coalition, your species has earned quite the reputation. Other races calculate acceptable losses. Humans," she paused, crystals flickering, "humans have this incomprehensible tendency to throw yourselves into harm's way for complete strangers. Someone has to. But why?" Kashara leaned closer. "You're not even a soldier anymore. Your discharge papers list severe PTSD, 3 tours in the Outer Rim conflicts, a chest full of medals you apparently keep in a storage unit on Earth. You could have hidden, should have hidden. Instead, you nearly died for a child you'd never met." James didn't have an answer for that. Or rather, he had too many answers, none of them simple, because she'd reminded him of another little girl, on another planet, one he hadn't been fast enough to save, because leaving children to die went against something fundamental in his DNA. Because maybe, just maybe, saving one life could balance out all the ones he'd failed to save during the war. "Can I see her?" Kashara's crystals pulsed, surprise, then something softer. "She's been asking for you constantly, driving the staff to distraction. I'll let her know you're awake." The doctor left and James lay there staring at the ceiling, wondering if his back would ever feel normal again. Probably not. Add it to the collection of scars, internal and external. The door chimed. James turned to see a small Valorian child peek around the frame. Delicate crystalline features, large eyes that glowed with inner light, tiny hands gripping the doorway. "Aliana." She shuffled in, moving with the careful deliberation of someone who'd been told not to run in the medical bay. In her hands she clutched something. A human-made stuffed animal, a bear, worn and clearly well-loved. "They said you were sleeping," she said in Coalition Standard, her accent thick but understandable. I waited so long." "Hey, kid." James tried to smile, though it felt rusty. "Heard you've been causing trouble. I wanted to thank you." Aliana approached the bed, her glow brightening. "Mama said you saved me. Papa said you're a hero, but you got hurt because of me. Not because of you, for you. Big difference." Aliana's crystals, still small, not fully formed like an adult's, flickered through a rainbow of colors. Emotions she couldn't quite control yet. "Why?" "You don't know me." Didn't need to know you deserved to be safe. The little girl's glow intensified, and James realized she was crying. Valorians cried light instead of tears, their bodies pulsing with bioluminescent sorrow. She set the stuffed bear on his bed and climbed up carefully, mindful of his injuries. "I'm not crying," Aliana announced, even as her whole body radiated emotional light. "You are." James felt wetness on his own cheeks, actual tears, the human kind. When had those started? He'd thought he was too broken for tears anymore. "Yeah, kid, maybe I am." Aliana settled beside him, small and warm and alive. "When I grow up, I want to be like humans. I want to be brave enough to save people even when I'm scared." "You're already brave," James said quietly. "You survived. That takes courage, too." They sat in comfortable silence, a broken human veteran and a little alien girl, both crying in their own ways, both alive against the odds. Outside, the colony was rebuilding. The creche had been driven off. Life continued, and maybe James thought that was the whole point. Life continuing, children growing up, second chances blooming from the ashes of the worst moments. "I made you something," Aliana said, pulling a small crystal from her pocket. Jagged and imperfect, clearly carved by a child's hands. "It's a courage stone. Humans don't have crystals like us, so I made you one." James took the offering, feeling its weight, its warmth. "Thank you, Aliana. I'll treasure it. Promise you won't leave before saying goodbye?" "I promise." Aliana's crystals finally settled to a soft, peaceful gold. She curled up beside him, careful of his injuries, her small hand finding his scarred one. And for the first time in 3 years, James felt something he'd thought was lost forever, a sense of purpose, of meaning, of connection to something beyond his own pain. Maybe that's what made humans different. He thought as sleep began to claim him again. They didn't save people because it was logical or strategically sound. They saved people because not saving them was unthinkable, because every life mattered, even at the cost of their own, especially at the cost of their own. As consciousness faded, James heard Aliana whisper, "Thank you for being human. James, the galaxy is better because you are." And maybe, just maybe, she was right.